They literally say, this conversation should have happened months ago. I mean, like, duh. Today we are talking about Fall to Pieces, which is book 2 of the Break My Fall series by Chloe Walsh. And right out of the gate, it is the same old song and dance. Obviously, when we finished off Break My Fall, which is the first book, we have Lee, who is pregnant and in the hospital, and right, like she's having these issues, and she miscarried and all this kind of stuff. And Kyle is doing quite a bit of groveling. But right off the bat, we are immediately falling into this communication issue once more. Finally, Kyle is like, okay, I think I ought to tell her what's been going on with Rachel. I mean, duh, buddy, duh, you've been hooking up with this girl for months, and you just now think that, oh yeah, I should probably be telling her about the situation with Rachel. Okay, yeah, okay. So he finally tells her, and he even tells her, like, he says that, oh yeah, he told Linda the whole story and everything like that, and that pissed Lee off for obvious reasons. She's like, you told frickin' Linda? Who's frickin' Linda compared to me? Which, my thoughts exactly, girlfriend. But in the midst of that, Lee legitimately thinks, she's like, we should have had this conversation months ago. This should have been, like, all of these conversations should have been happening a long time ago. Between both of you. Because, that's one thing. Lee, you have no freaking room to talk. You're, like, keeping secrets yourself. But this entire time, it's like, and she says it multiple times in the beginning of the book. Oh, well, we should have been talking about this a long time ago. You should have said something a long time ago. Why didn't you say something a long time ago? I'm like, girl, this is like, obviously, it's a classic communication breakdown that and Lee has the nerve to act like she's pissed off about it. It's like, girl, you are just as much of a culprit. Not to mention the fact that he tries to explain to her over and over and over again what's going on, and she, classic, right? Oh, stop talking to me. You really hurt my feelings, and just blew him off over and over again. Okay, that happened in the first book, and it's happening in the second book right off the bat, right? Where he's trying to explain, he's trying to talk, he's right? So she goes from saying, oh, these conversations should have been happening a long time ago, to falling back into the same routine where he's trying to have the conversations with her, and she's like, no, I won't hear it. You're just gonna lie. I'm gonna believe Rachel. Oh my gosh, freaking Rachel. So while it's on, like, there starts to be growth, it's like the fact that they are having a kid together, it's like forced growth, which, I mean, having a kid together never solves a problem, but it's one of those situations where it's like they are trying to grow, but Lee continues to just be a problem, right? Kyle is actually not bad in this book. Kyle is actually, like, trying to make up for, like, lost time. He's trying to make good. He's doing a lot of groveling, all that kind of stuff. Lee is actually the bigger issue in this story because she continues to, like, shut him down. She continues, it's like she keeps telling him, I wish you would just be honest with me. I wish you would just be honest with me. And then he's honest with her, and she either, number one, doesn't believe him, or number two, doesn't listen to him. Like, shuts him down completely, or just gets, like, super mad at him and runs away. And it's like, you keep telling him to be honest with you, and he keeps on trying, and you keep on refusing. I mean, I am fully engaged with this story, and it is just driving me bonkers, because this is what happens the entire time, is where it's just this constant, like, butting of heads for no good reason. And Lee continues to use the excuse that she did miscarry, which, I mean, is a completely plausible excuse for being hurt, for being sad, for mourning, and everything like that, absolutely. But it's also like, but Kyle also lost, right? Kyle also lost the baby, and like both of you lost this baby, and you are acting like it's only you, and you are isolating yourself, and you're making everybody out to be the enemy, and you're right. And so while there's this bit of, empathy that you have for her, because it's like, yeah, losing a baby, miscarrying a baby, like, that's that's horrible, right? Like, that is horrible, and that is like everybody's worst nightmare. But at the same time, it's like she continues to act like she wants to solve things with Kyle, and then she refuses to do the very things that would solve things with Kyle. And she also just keeps on going back to her same old habits with Rachel, where it's like, you know, Kyle tells her the entire story. I was expecting him to really get like super secretive, you know, like withhold a little bit of information there at the beginning, but no, he told the entire story to her and told her exactly what happened. You know, well, this is what happened, and Rachel, you know, Rachel was scheming, and Rachel tricked me, and Rachel, like basically laying out for her how terrible Rachel is. And then Lee proceeds to once again believe Rachel over this dude who is obviously trying, like Kyle is putting in the work, okay? And then Rachel's like, oh yeah, well, he was with me last night. And Lee just like flies off the handle, completely believes Rachel, completely believes, you know, all of the things that Rachel lies to her about, like, oh yeah, like he hooked up with me last night and we were together, and you know, when he wasn't with you, he was with me, and like all this kind of stuff. And it's like she completely ignores the rapport that is starting to be built between her and Kyle, and she completely believes the lack of rapport that is between her and Rachel. And once again, well, why would Rachel lie? Oh, I don't know. Kyle literally just told you that she lied to him for months on end, for years. She's lied to him for years to get his money. Do you think that she's not capable of lying to you? Like, she is horrible. Like, she needs no reason. That's the thing. Rachel needs no reason. That's the kind of villain she is. She needs no reason. She's just terrible because she's terrible. But Lee continues to believe her. And I would have to say that that is probably the part that drives me the most crazy about this story and about like any of it, is the fact that, you know, I mean, number one, the fact that Lee just continues to ignore all attempts at opening lines of communication from Kyle, but that she continues to believe people who are so obviously like against her, who so obviously have something against her, and who are so obviously like having it out with her. And it's like completely over and over and over and over and over again. And it's one of those deals where it's like, okay, yeah, Kyle has definitely been super sketchy to you, and he's definitely been like not great to you. I mean, I said this in my last video. I have absolutely no idea why she continues to stick around with this guy. Whatever. It's for her to know and me to wonder. But she continues to believe people who are not trying with her, right? Like, she continues to believe these people, and she continues to ignore this guy who, again, while he continues mucking things up, he's trying, and he obviously has feelings for her, and he obviously cares about her. And in this book, he's obviously trying, right? He's obviously really trying to get on her good side and really trying to make it up, and she just continues to be terrible. You know, in the first book really drove me crazy. I like this book way better than the first book. But this book, it's just more of her jumping to conclusions, her continuing to assume things that she, right? And continuing to trust and believe people that like she has absolutely no business trusting and believing, and continuing to run away. Like, continuing to run away. And it's like she continues to act like, you know, well, I'm having a baby now, and so I like have to be super responsible. Like, I can't. Okay, well, if you're having a baby and you're trying to be super responsible, here's the thing, Lee. You have to communicate with people then, and you have to stop running away when people are trying to have a conversation with you that might be a little uncomfy. Okay? Like, there's no time for being a baby at this point in time. And Lee is being a complete baby. Okay? Again, I completely understand. She's heartbroken. She lost one of her babies. She's has this past. She doesn't really trust naturally. All of these things are happening. And, you know, Kyle really did her dirty. But at the end of the day, you gotta grow up, Lee. And she is refusing to grow up. It's like for so long in this story. Drives me crazy. And on top of it all, we have the Cam situation, okay? So Cam is Lee's best friend, and Cam's over here like, oh, hey, you know, like, oh, I'll take care of you and all this kind of stuff. Well, in book 2, she just decides to go complete, like, bonkers and go crazy, and, like, she's lashing out, and she's angry, and she's, like, all of these things. And then it comes out that, oh, yeah, she's been sleeping with Kyle's stepbrother, Mike. Okay. So, number one, how does she even know Mike? Like, that was my biggest question. Like, there was never a moment when I really understood how she knew Mike. Like, I got the feeling that she knew Mike was Kyle's half-brother. Half-brother, yeah, it'd be half-brother, not stepbrother. So, she knows that Mike is Kyle's brother. But other than that, it doesn't seem like Mike isn't around. Kyle doesn't let Mike be around. It's not like Cam goes to the hotel where Mike works. Like, there's no reason for them to have contact. And then it's like, oh yeah, well, we're having this like steamy affair and she's cheating on Derek. Which, who in their right mind would cheat on Derek? I have no freaking idea. But Cam had the right mind. So she's over here cheating on her boyfriend with Derek, and so then she's lashing out she's cheating on her boyfriend with Mike. So then she has the nerve to lash out at Derek because she's doing something wrong, and then she's lashing out at Lee for things. She's lashing out at everyone, and she's just being horrible. And so that situation was obviously, that was adding to just the nonsense of lack of communication throughout the story. Once again, I'm pretty sure this is Chloe Walsh's favorite angle, lack of communication, but she continues to scream at people and not give people a reason why she's so upset, and she's just horrible, and it really comes to a point and to a peak when Kyle and Lee really seem to oh, they're making headway, and, and they're actually having conversations, and they're actually talking, and they're actually hey, because all we used to do is hook up, now I actually sort of want to know a little bit about your life. That's a grand idea. And so there's all of this pressure happening in the house. I'm going to be honest with you. If I was living in that house, I'd be getting my booty out of there, because that was a toxic situation. Yeah, it was just a toxic situation altogether. And then the baby comes along, and that's just super adorable. It's super adorable. It's super cute. All of that pressure, it seems like it brings Kyle and Lee together, which, say what you want to, children rarely seem to bring people together. It's like they do, and then they don't. And so, but in fiction world, they bring people together. So Lee and Kyle are making headway, right? Lee and Kyle are making headway, and finally Lee decides that, oh, you know what? Maybe this Rachel chick has been lying to me every single time she comes and talks to me and tells me things about Kyle. Maybe I shouldn't believe Rachel when she actually comes and spouts these things off at me. Well, isn't that a grand idea, Lee? So she finally comes to the conclusion that perhaps Rachel's a big, big liar. And she, right? Okay, finally, we've made headway in that regard. And then we have our tragic ending, right? I'll be honest, I was not expecting the ending. The ending really did, that took me by surprise, because what? The fact that Rachel shows up, the fact that, oh, well, Cam ends up dead, all of these things are happening all at once. And while the ending is very tragic, right? Death of a best friend, oh, Lee's in the hospital, and all of these things are happening at the same time. It was one of those deals, I just yawned and now my eyes are watering. Not cute. All of these things are happening, and I'm going to be honest with you. While it was all tragic, while it was all oh, this should be really plucking at the heartstrings, I couldn't feel it, right? I couldn't feel it. I really couldn't bring myself to care, especially with Cam. I'll be honest, especially with Cam. The whole Cam situation, the Cam and Mike situation, I was sort of Cam, you're sort of a villain here. So I couldn't really bring myself to care about Cam. I thought it was really nice that obviously she comes and she saves Lee's life and she sacrifices herself for Lee. So great, right? Love that. But there was also like, the emotion felt super watered down to me, and it felt super like glazed over, and it just felt like, right? Like it just felt like it was scratching at the surface, and it felt like, I wanted it to scratch an itch, but it wasn't scratching an itch, and it was driving me crazy. And so, yeah, I thought that this book, it felt like there was so much of the same, it felt like there was so much of the same exact like theme going on throughout the book, right? Once again, the lack of communication, the trusting the wrong people, just the stupidity. There's just so much stupidity happening in this book. But I will say, I liked this book a lot better than the first one because it felt like it started to actually improve. It felt like, oh, wow, maybe these people have grown up and figured out that they actually have to have conversations. I don't know. I think there's part of it where it's like, okay, well, technically, Lee is 18, 19 years old, and Kyle is like 22, 23 years old. So technically, yeah, like they're super immature individuals that it's like they have these moments of acting like full-grown adults, but then they are also still children technically, right? And so there's part of me that's like, okay, sure, this makes sense that this would be happening, and this makes sense that, they are bad at relationships because, I don't know, it's rare that I meet young people who are good at relationships. No, I wasn't. And so it makes sense to a degree that they would be bad at it, but at the same time, it was sort of like, oh my word, like, can you not figure this out? Can you not, for the life of you, figure out that maybe you need to shut up for a minute, stop running away, and actually listen to what the other person has to say? It felt like that wasn't even considered. That wasn't even an option. That wasn't even like, oh, like I could do that, right? It felt like all of the things that should have been happening weren't happening, right? And the whole time, Lee is relying on Mike to take her to all of her doctor appointments instead of Kyle, and that actually broke my heart. That broke my heart more than anything else, because it was like, okay, so not only are you not talking to this guy, he is trying so freaking hard to talk to you and so freaking hard to get through to you, but not only that, you aren't taking him to the doctor's appointments. It is obvious that he is worried about your health, he's worried about the baby's health, he's worried, and he obviously cares. He cares a lot, right? He cares a lot, and he wants to be involved. He really wants to be involved. So you're stripping him of that opportunity. And not only are you stripping him of that opportunity, but you're going with his half-brother that he has a real issue with. I mean, honestly, that was like villain mode, okay? All this stuff with Mike, villain mode, okay? Like, Mike has a great personality, but there are lines, right? There are lines. When people have a real issue with someone, I mean, it's like, he was the one, like, he was with Rachel. And so there's so much of it that it's like, okay, like, Lee, do you not see this? I don't care, like, right? I don't care that Kyle hurt your feelings, and I don't care that Mike is your friend. You are stripping someone of their opportunity to, like, a decent person, the opportunity to have that relationship and build that connection with, the whole pregnancy process. Like, you're stripping Kyle of that, and you're giving it to Mike, who Kyle absolutely, like, Mike completely betrayed Kyle in some capacity, right? It's like this weird hatred between them. And so, I mean, there was a lot of it that it was like, Cam was a villain and Lee was sort of a villain, and I didn't like it. Again, I liked this one better than the first one, but the fact that Lee was just so unaccommodating, and like Lee was really difficult for me to swallow in this book. Lee was very difficult for me to swallow, and so yeah, that's my 2 cents. I think there's 2 more books in this series, so we'll see how that goes. Let me know what your thoughts are. What are your thoughts? Do you think that this is an improvement on the Break My Fall book by Chloe Walsh? Or do you think it's worse? Do you just not like them altogether? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this story? I would be very curious, because I'm gonna be honest, this was it's like, once again, I'm engaged with the story and I'm intrigued by the story, but at the same time, the story never fails to drive me nuts. That's where I'm at with that. Anywho, make sure you do not trust people who have vendettas against you. That is my advice for today, and that's all I have for you. So thanks for hanging out with me, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video.